Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video in the Dungeon Generation tutorial series. And last episode we had it set up to where not only are we dropping rooms down, but we're also trying to determine if they intersect or not. And if they intersect, then you don't put the room down. Well, at the end of the video, I had a bit of an issue because it didn't seem like it was working correctly because it shouldn't always put down 10 rooms. However, I did forget that this is a massive map. We're trying to draw rooms in, and if we're only putting 10 rooms in those tiles, then yeah, it's a really small chance that a room would actually intersect when placing it. So to show that it's working, we have a room list that was generated of 10. 10 rooms. If we zoom out here, okay, right there, you can actually see, if you count it out, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 rooms generated. And it really did work. Well, also, let's see, this was the first room generated. Let's take a look at it. So inside of here is the first room generated, correct? Okay, you'll notice that if you go into here, the first tile is actually down here, and it's black. It's not gray. Well, why is that? That's because, remember, we have code set up inside of here that says, hey, if it's at the left part of the room, if it's equal to 0, like its position, if we're looping through this list of the width and the height and we're at 0, we're going to set walkable to false. We're basically giving the room itself a boundary. So if we go back into here, that proves it. Because right here, as we go into here, if we press down, it's going to go up. All of these right here, well, they're black. Why is that? That's because, and the one up there is black, that's because that's a border around the room. That's part of the room, but you can't walk there. Now we're going to come down here. That's the bottom of the room. Now we're actually in the walkable tiles of the room. So here we go. We can walk through the tiles. So in all actuality, let's count it out. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This is a 9 high. So the height of this room should be 10, which is actually -1, so 9. And then the width of the room should be, if we start this over, the width of the room here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So if we go up here, we can verify that. If we go back here and we look inside of the room list, what's the first room dropped was here. The width is 7 and the height is 9. So we can verify that this is working. One way to test to see if the actual intersection is working, let's make this count to a max of 30. And now we're going to run it. So now we're trying to fit 30 rooms in this grid. Let's see if it'll be able to fit all 30. So the room list, oh, it actually only set 25. So that means when it was going through and trying to make 30 rooms, it actually was only able to drop 25 because 5 of those actually intersected with another room and it skipped over them. But these are the 25 rooms. So everything is working accordingly the way we want. Now let's go ahead and jump in, and we're going to work on making a path from one room to another. So what we're going to do here is we're going to condense down, create room. We're going to come down here. And we're going to start working on the next function called private void and draw path. Not Patty. Yeah. All right. Avoid draw path. What are we going to be doing in here? Okay, so first of all, we're going to index the next room we're going to be drawing to with a number. So we'll do int next room set to 0. And now, bear with me on this one. We're going to have a direction set it to 1 by default for the y, x, and then y, we're going to have it set to 1 by default. And now we're going to go into a list. a loop, and we're gonna loop through this dot room list dot count. All right. So in here we're gonna do next room plus equal 1. What are we doing this for? Okay, so when this gets drawn, when we run draw path for the first time, we're gonna set up this variable set to nothing, 0. We're gonna come in here and start looping. So we're gonna come into here. I is gonna be equal to 0. So it's gonna say the index of 0 in this list is the first element. Next room is going to be the next room that we want to actually check against to say, hey, draw a path from this room to the next room. It's going to increment. So like the current room that we're in the list compared to draw a path to the room next in the list. It's just indexing. So we'll come into here. Now this is going to be a little bit of math, okay? Int x differential is set to this dot room list, add the next room in the list, dot center x plus this dot room list, next room, dot x position. So I want you to grab the center position of the x of the room and the bottom position on the of the x. So I want you to grab the far left x position of the room, and I want you to add it to how far it is away from the center. Okay. And then we're going to subtract that from this dot room list of index I dot center x plus this dot room list index I dot x position. So all we're doing is subtracting. All we're doing is taking two tiles, the one we're at now and the next room that we want to draw to, and we're saying, hey, I want you to take the center x's of those, add them with their x positions, and when you take those numbers, subtract them. That is the difference between the x on the x coordinates from one room to the next room. That is the total distance we need. We're also going to do the same thing for the y position. So all we got to do now is we can come into here, we can copy this, paste it, and then we're going to change that to center y, to the x position, to the y position, to the center y, and then to the y position. Okay. And then that'll be the y differential. Now, into here. Oh, this. Alright. Mouse keeps double clicking for some reason. Okay. And then I will come into here and say, okay. Now, I'm going to say int the current tile that we're indexing, we're going to say current tile x is going to be equal to this over here, actually. So this right here, we're going to take and store in this variable over here. So this room, current room's x plus its position is equal to that, and then we're going to do the same thing for a y. So I do apologize, the mouse is acting up. So we'll come into here, do this, and then we'll change it to the y coordinate. like that. Okay. Now, the x direction that we have up here is going to be set to x differential. If the x differential is less than 0, we're going to set x direction to -1, or we're going to set it to 1. All right, so what is happening? Okay. So up here, we wanted to get the difference between one tile center and the other, and one center of one room to the center of another room. Okay, we want to draw a path from one room's center tile to the next room's center tile. That's what we want to do. So that's what these represent, these x differences. And the y differences, okay? Right here, we have current tile x. We're just getting the current tile that we're in the room list and grabbing its x and y. That's all we're doing. The direction. So if the difference between one room center and the next room center happens to be less than 0, we're going to set the direction to -1. If it's not, if it's 0 or greater than 0, we'll set it to 1. And we're going to do this for y as well. And I'm getting ready to show you why we have to have a direction. Because it's gonna be based on where they're placed at. So like this. It's gonna be based on where the rooms are placed. Like let's say you have a room that's placed. Let's say you put a room placed where the cursor is. Okay, there's a room here and then there's a room here. If you want to draw from this room to this room, you would subtract the numbers, the x and the y, which is what we did up here. If this coordinate is 10, 10, and this coordinate is 0, 0, you would do 10 minus 0 is 10, 10 minus 0 is 10. You would take those two numbers, which are these, and you would add them to the 0, 0 index that we had. And that would give you plus 10, plus 10, so it would draw a line perfectly. But what if you did the subtraction opposite? What if you subtracted the 0 minus 10 minus 10, you get -10 and -10. So you add that together to the zeros and you get the right number. But the reason we're doing the direction is because what if you have a room that is way far left or way far down from where the room is that you are trying to get the path to? It's going to throw a negative number. And so what we're going to do is we're going to cache that negative number as the direction. And then we're going to come into here and say, okay, now that we have all that, we're going to go int x count is set to math.absolute value. I want you to get the absolute value of the x differential. So whatever number is up there, I want you to give me the absolute value of it. If it's a negative number, give me the positive number. If it's a positive number, just give me the positive number. So we'll do this, and then we'll do y count math f dot absolute, and it'll be the same thing. Okay. And now we're just going to make one temporary variable here called int end x position. I'll show you why in a second. Come down here. I'm going to do a for loop on I, which this is going to be looping through the we already have an I because we're inside of an I loop, so we're going to make it a j. For int j. And then it's going to be less than x count. Okay, so we got the absolute value of distance between from one room's middle tile to the next room's middle tile. Let's say it's just 5 spaces away. It's going to loop 5 times. Well, inside of there, what we want to do is we want to make a tile. We want to cache the tile out. So we want to go this dot tiles at index of tile X, of current tile X, plus J times the X direction current tile Y. Alright, so wait a minute. What is happening here? Okay, so we figured out the difference between one room center point and another room center point. On the x-axis, we want to start from, we want to get inside of the tiles array at this position. The position is current tile X, which we got from up here, the distance from the current room's middle point. We want to grab that. We want to add an offset of this times the direction that we're going to be going in. If it's a negative number, this will be times -1. This will be either -1 or +1. It's just going to say, hey, which direction am I supposed to start drawing in the X direction? Because if I have a room that I'm trying to draw from, and the other room I'm trying to draw to is to the left of me, I need to go left. And to go left in the X direction means you have to go by a negative number. To go left is -1, to go right is +1. This is why I have the X direction, because I said, hey, go to the current tile's X from the current tile center point, and then I want you to add 0 to it in the negative or positive direction. Grab that tile. I want you to set that tile as walkable. And then this dot tile to visual, I want you to go into the dictionary where this tile is, grab the component, the sprite renderer component, and then I want you to set its sprite to a floor tile. And inside of here, we're going to say in X position, set to current tile X plus J times X. So this is the same math, just here. What it's saying is like, hey, I want you to grab that tile, set it to walkable, change it to a floor now, and then cache that position in here in the X position. The reason we're doing this is because we're going to be doing this. We're going to be needing this end X position when we do Y. So now the X position's done, and we can verify that. We can go into here. So we got this draw path. Okay. So what we're going to do is tiles are set up. Create room is done. Now we're going to do this dot draw path. It's going to draw. It's only going to draw in the X axis. This is all it's going to do. It's going to work, but it's only going to draw a path to the X. So wherever a tile is, you will not see a path drawn up or down. You're only going to see a path drawn left or right, and I'll show you. So here we are generated. Look at all them paths. Look at all that madness. I know there's index errors, but don't worry about that. But look at this. Look. So we're drawing paths. But notice how they're only going left and right. See, look at this room here. It drew right. See how it's all starting to kind of come together and draw? That's what we want. So, now we come into here, do another for loop. And this one's going to be J as well. And then this one is going to be the Y count. And we're going to do the exact same thing here. Except, it's going to be current tile Y with the y direction. Except this right here is going to be the index position with the y direction. Actually, yeah, this one's not going to be the same. So we're not going to have this anymore. We're not going to need that anymore. This will be there. We want to cache it. We want to set it to true. But this position is going to be completely different. So we have the index position. So we want to go, we already cached the index position. Now we need the y position. The y position is going to be the current tile y plus j times the y direction. Now why is it being done this way? Okay, so now we want to go in the y direction. So we want to go into the tile array and say, hey, at this position, grab the tile, set it to walkable, and go in the dictionary and set its sprite to floor. So what exactly is it doing here? Well, let's say you're in the middle of a room and you got to go 5 tiles and you are trying to go to another room. The center of the current room is 5 in the x away and 5 in the y away from the next room. So you've got to go 5 to the x and 5 to the y, but you don't know what direction to go in. Because if the room is to the right of you, you got to go +5. If the room's to the left of you, you got to go -5. If the room's above you 5, you got to go +5. If the room's below you, you got to go -5. So what you're going to do is here you're going to say, hey, I want to go from my middle room +5 either to the left or to the right. And then I'm going to take that number and I'm going to cache it here. When we're all finished, the very last tile that I stopped at should be 5 away, and let's say to the right. Let's say this is +1. This is going to draw tiles to the right of the current room, 5 tiles, and it's going to stop. This is the position where it stops. So now when you do the y position, you want to start drawing up or down from that last tile that you stopped at. Not from where you started, from where you ended. So you're going to draw left or draw right, stop. Now you're going to start drawing up or drawing down from that position straight into the other one's center. So this will be, hey, wherever you stopped at last, this is going to be your x position. Now I want you to go from the current tile's y position, and I want you to go up or down this many tiles. And then it's going to do this. So with that being said, you can come into here and it'll test it. Clear out this console. This. Bam. You got yourself a room that has floors going from each room to the next room. Just like that. Now let's see what this error is. Where is this coming out at? Index out of area. Draw path. GC line 119. So line 119 here. I only did it one time. So what we got? We got the next room is set to 0. The current index is +1. So draw path. See what we got here. Right. That's correct. We get the next room. Got the 1. Next room is +1. You got the center X, center Y of the next room plus the X Y position minus the room I, center X, Y position. It says 119. So it's throwing an issue here with the room count. So this +1, so if it's index 1, that means there's only one room in the list when it's drawing the path. If it's creating one room. Max room count is 10. Room, create room. I'm into here, create the room. For it, okay, so now I see, okay, I see why it's throwing an error. So when up here, when you create the room, no, that should work. It returns from the function, comes back into the room count, into the room, comes back here, it does it again. Yeah, should work. Okay. So yeah, it is working exactly as we want it to do. So now you can see that we have a room list of 24 rooms. You can verify that. You can click 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 22, 23, 24, 5. Alright. That'll do it. So yeah, it draws. I mean, check it. Now what I'm going to do is in the next video, it's going to be a real simple one. It's going to be quick. I'm going to go ahead and put a script on the camera that will allow us to move inside of the scene so we can stop messing around in the scene view and actually look in the game view. So we'll go ahead and do that in the next video. Thank y'all for sticking with me so far. I hope you're enjoying it so far, and I will talk to y'all next one. Thanks. Later.